Tuesday Night Titan, the ultimate outsider, but here we are. We stand together as one every Tuesday night. The new time from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. We have hit the prime time, baby. Here we are, front and center. You know how we do it. Tonight is not going to be a night for the faint of heart. I kid you not. If you have a problem with political talk or jargon or current events on what's going on in this specific country, well, actually, this is going to have to do with some other countries as well. But if you have a problem with that, I suggest this is your disclaimer. This is your moment to exit the building. I don't want you to leave. I want you to listen because I'm going to speak facts, not truths, facts. We're going to get into what the difference is in a couple moments. But first and foremost, I just want to say hello to everybody out there. I appreciate you joining us. I've got my tracksuit on, so I look like a Eastern European gentleman with my 1935 paperboy hat on. This this suit is indicative of a bouncer. I am the ultimate bouncer when it comes to running the political gambit and telling you what is really going on with the world today. Most people, they don't want to tell you. They want to pull the wool over your eyes. I feel that you're 10 times more intelligent than that. You need to know the truth. When the truth is not given, people are misleaded, misguided, and they end up doing things that are out of character every day, all day, without a doubt. So, first, let's talk about uh, facts and truths, right? So, most people say, but it's the truth. But it's the truth. It's the truth. What does that mean? What is the truth, right? Truth to me, and I might be wrong, but probably not. I think I'm pretty on the money with this. If I'm wrong, tell me. And that goes for all of it tonight. If you disagree with me or feel so strongly that I might be incorrect at any given time, I would tell you to call in and do what you do and tell me where I am wrong. But when I tell you this, if you do call in, you better be ready to bring it because I am going to be a factual monster this evening. There is taking no prisoners, no mercy afforded here. If you come on tonight and you want to dispute what I'm saying, please have facts, not truths, facts backing up what you state. I want to hear instances. I want to hear numbers and statistics. I want to hear everything down to a finite, simple fact. So, facts and truths, right? If a person sees a car crash, or let's say 10 people see a car crash, there are literally 10 different truths that lie in those witnesses. Why do you say that? I say that to say this, right? When people see things and their perception tells them that there is a truth or a fact, which is actually a truth, their perception is their reality. Therefore, that is their truth. They are affording their truth by telling you that story. That's why when the police do witness encounters and make statements, they put them all together because every statement that those witnesses made is different in some way, shape, or fashion. So, with that being said, truth is your truth. That is your how you were raised. It is what you see every day on the streets. That is an emotional attachment to your decision making that statement. We understand that? A fact. What is a fact? A fact is a concept that is no emotional involvement. It is A, B, and C. The car drove, which it did. The car crashed, which it did. Whether people were injured or not is left to be seen. So the truth there would be that the car is crashed. How can we tell? I mean, the fact. I apologize. Let me regress that. It's the fact. Why is that a fact? Because now we can look at the car, and anybody who passes by the car can see that it's smashed up. Therefore, the fact is that that car was in an accident. It was smashed. Do you see the difference between the fact and the truth? Many people could tell you how that car crashed, but the actual fact is that the car did crash. not the perception of how it crashed, just that it did. There's no emotional attachment to it. So tonight, we're going to be bringing you facts. And you could say, but Rob, this is the truth. I don't want to hear truths. I don't want to hear truths because truths are as good. It's about as good as a fart in the breeze. I'm going to tell you that right now. Why? What is a fart in a breeze? Everybody's own brand smells good, right? So when we say these things, it's indicative of our emotional attachment to what it is. When I do research, when I do fact checking, when I do my sourcing and my vetting, there is no emotional attachment. I have learned to separate myself from that. And that gives me a clearer picture of what's going on. Also, I like to see both sides of what it is. Why do I want to see both sides? Because then I can make my own assumption and make my own truth. You get the difference? You get the difference. The truth is not all the adjectives or adjacent perceptions on what actually happened. The fact is simple, it's rudimentary, it's as easy as seeing it in front of your eyes, but dictating it as just what it is, not to add any emotion to it. So let's get down to a couple of articles. Let's see. So, people, there are people in the comments, and I'm going to read some of those comments to you while we do this as well. So, anybody can say just saying, and, one of the comments here is that says facts have convicted innocent people, truth never has. Just saying. That's actually false. And I'm going to tell you why that's false. In the court of law, of course, possession is 9/10 of the law, but a signed affidavit with a statement of somebody's actual truth or perception can get people convicted. And facts are usually a part of that truth. So saying that facts have gotten people convicted, innocent people convicted, is, it could be, that could very well be true. But 9 times out of 10, it's a witness statement that gets somebody put away when there's something horrific that happens. Facts can be, but the other part of that is misconstruing facts with corruption, right? So if there's a fact that there was a knife on the ground, the corruption part is literally putting the pieces together and saying, well, this man picked it up and stabbed somebody. Does everybody understand what that means? So, Ramona, I understand what you're saying, but I believe that we have to break that and depack it a little bit because facts, they can get people convicted, but it's usually the corruption that gets them convicted, not the fact. The fact is usually what gets them off, because when it's looked at as factual and not emotional, you know, that's just what it is. And then we have another one from Donna. It says, "Yes, it can. There's always their truth, my truth, and somehow in between lines, the actual truth." See, but this is what I'm telling you. The difference between truth and fact is emotion, right? So anything with an emotional attachment to it is a truth. It's told from a perception. You know what I mean? That's the difference. A fact is a fact. A fact can't be emotional. A fact can only be what it is. There's like I'm telling you, a statistic is a fact. You can work statistics, but everything is susceptible to a lie, right? Or corruption. Nothing is 100% solid. So to think that any facet of your life is 100%, factual and truth at all times without outside influence to disrupt what that is, that's naive. That's naive. So, that's my opinion. You don't have to like it. You can disagree with it. Doesn't really matter. That's what it is. And as you can see tonight, I'm coming out the gate swinging. That's right. Donna says absolutely there is a difference. Facts stand alone of it is what it is. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what I'm trying to make a point at. The truths literally have some kind of perception involved with it. 9 times out of 10, your truth could be different from my truth. But neither truth is wrong because it's how we see it, it's how we perceive our reality. So, therefore, that truth to me is 100% truth. And to you, yours is 100% truth, even though they may differ from each other. So, that's that's a fact right there, if we get my drift. So, let's get into a little political news, and it is I want to give a credit to National File, which is one of the places I'll be pulling from tonight. National File is a great place. If you don't know, it is unadulterated, down the middle, factual news. They take the facts, they don't put spins on it. They lean a specific way, but their writing does not dictate that. So, Sidney Powell has released a 270-page report on the 2020 foreign election interference and mass voter fraud. She concluded that the Dominion voting system is intentionally and purposely designed with inherent errors to create systematic election fraud and influence election result. This is an article by the gentleman named Andrew White. It was written on December 27th, 2020. We all know who Sidney Powell is. Hopefully, I don't have to get into who she is. So, it is what it is. I'm saying that a lot tonight because there's some things that are happening on my side emotionally that, I feel like I have to let a few things loose this evening. So I hope you can come with me on the ride. It's going to be fun. It's not going to be boring, I'll tell you that. And we're going to get into the actual news, the real events that are happening that other people will not tell you. It's my duty to do that. My duty is to tell you the actual facts of what it is. So basically, Sidney Powell released that 270-page report detailing mass voter fraud and foreign election interference in the 2020 U.S. election to Zenger News this week. Nobody knows who Zenger News is. They are somewhat of a right-leaning media, and I will be upfront about these things because I believe it's important to be transparent, and so you know exactly what we're talking about. But the document contains affidavits, sources, testimony, witness, and other evidence of mass voter fraud and foreign interference in the 2020 election. I'm going to see if I can screen share here so I can show you that I'm actually looking at the document itself. No, I'm not the host at the moment, so I don't believe I can share the screen. Let's see. Nope, I can't share the screen. So, just to let you know, I am looking at the actual documentation of this specific Allied Security Operations Group, which is a Antrim, Michigan forensic report, revised preliminary summary, version 2, reported on 12/13/2020. It talks about who they are. It talks about the total votes for Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And then we get to a few explanations down here. They concluded with all of this information that they have during this forensic audit that the Dominion voting system is intentionally and purposefully designed with inherent errors to create systematic election fraud and influence the election result. Now, here's the kicker, right? So I'm telling you all this, which is fine. I'm telling you this for a reason. I'm not sitting here saying that this is 100% fact or it's even a truth. This is what is stated in this article, correct? So we're going to take that at face value. We're going to take it as this specific audit team went in, and this is the evidence that they found. Until I can actually look at the verification of the document and make sure that it is 100% authentic, I'm not going to tell you that this is exact or this is absolute in that matter. What I can tell you is that what they are finding is a bit suspicious. And it is a little weird because, with all of the stuff that's happening during this election, we're finding more and more of these anomalies, shall we say, anomalies that just don't make sense. We're going to get into another anomaly right after this, which has to do with Pennsylvania. That's going to boggle your mind, okay? So as they expose this, the election results, 1 in 5 components used in these machines are from China-based companies. And along with Powell, the DNI, John Ratcliffe, has also confirmed on CBS News which is mainstream media, that foreign election interference occurred in 2020 U.S. election, as National File reported. But here's the other part of this, right? So we're looking at it all, and you could say, well, John Ratcliffe can just say whatever he wants. He's a Trump guy, right? But if this information that he brings out is factually incorrect, and it's proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that what he said isn't true, by going on to mainstream media and saying these things without validity or evidence, can get him in a world of trouble. And you're going to say, well, he's going to be out of office soon. But it doesn't matter. Even after that fact, they can still come back and prosecute him against the American people. It could be seen as a treasonous act. So therefore, I truly believe in my heart and what I'm reading that this man is not lying. Okay? And that's just my 2 cents. I'm going to tell you when I'm pontificating and when I'm actually speaking at things that aren't my brain thinking it. So I truly believe this man has seen something that caused him to say this. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come on CBS News, which has persecuted the person that he works for, Donald Trump, so horrifically, and is a part of that mainstream media monster that's trying to take over, trying to take over the entire world pretty much, to be a propaganda arm of the globalists, or the cabal, shall we say. I believe that this man is coming to this truth and bringing it out, and why he's bringing it out is, he feels indebted to the American people to do that. So with that being said, the persecution that this man could face for bringing this information out, and he has more to lose than gain by saying this. So, usually when the tides are against you or everything is turned, you tend to, you tend to be a little bit more, I guess, transparent, and you say things because it is what it is, not because you want it to be, right? So the official government report on foreign election interference was delayed amid the announcement of a SolarWinds cyber attack, which President Donald J. Trump suggested may be China, SolarWinds owner Silver Lake, and Tom Bravo, who have questionable ties to China, reportedly sold hundreds of millions of dollars in shares just days before the announcement of the breach. And that is reported to us by National File. So when we get into these situations and things are pretty terrible at face value, and you see some insider stuff like this, for me personally, those are red flags. Those red flags tend to make me want to dig deeper, and it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. So I apologize, Donna. You say I can't. I've got laryngitis bad. I hope you get better. I still have a reading to do tonight. I hope you get your reading done, and I hope you get better, Donna. Some people. That's why I put a disclaimer out at the beginning of the show. This one's going to be a little rough. Let's just put it that way. This one's going to be a little rough because I feel that it is my job. It's my duty. It is my it's my responsibility to bring you the information that is afforded to us by these people who are media, but they're on the outside. They're the fringe. And a lot of people can say, whatever they want, in the sense of, well, that's conspiracy theory, it's conjecture. I truly believe that the next wave of the media is people like National File, is people like maybe Breitbart. They're a little bit on the inside. I truly believe that those fringe people are going to be the face of media once everything you know, is, I guess, it doesn't come out in the wash or come out in the rinse, right? I don't want to get too cryptic or too into it, but there's a lot of things happening, and we will discuss them, what the possibilities are tonight. But I don't believe that this election is truly over yet. Let's just put it that way. There is a lot of unknowns and unanswered questions, and it's gonna be a wild ride. When we get to this little bit of information I have about Pennsylvania, you'll see what I'm talking about. This Pennsylvania is a mess. It's a mess. Same with Michigan. Same with Maricopa County in Arizona. Same with Nevada. Same with Georgia. Where else? Same with Wisconsin. I mean, if you take all these anomalies and add them up, there's a lot of low down rotten stuff going on here, guys. You know, and it's gonna be wild. So basically, while America awaits DNI Ratcliffe to release the official report on foreign election interference and the extent of its role in the 2020 election, you can read related document releases by Sidney Powell for yourself, and I can access those documents if I really want to. I have some of these documents, which is now what we're going to get into a little bit more. We're going to get into what the actual forensic audit says because I have those documents available to me. I mean, we may talk about some of the things really quickly, well, pretty fast. I just want to make sure that we do our due diligence and truly, truly figure out what's going on. So, with that being said, the documents I have here is a table of contents, which is the FBI alerts on Iranian election. It's pretty much what Zenger has, and it has the National Cyber Awareness Systems tag on it. I wish I could share the screen so you could see it. Let me see. Daryl, if you're back there, can you make me the host so I can share screen? If you're listening, I appreciate it. So I can show the documentation, so we can let the people know that we're not fibbing here with what we're talking about. Thank you, sir. And while I share the screen, I want to make sure that we are accurate. So here we go. As we can see, I want to make sure everybody can see that screen. Make sure it's coming up right. I believe the screen is shared now. Let's see. So there we go. Oh, it's coming up as black, I think. That's all right. Let's go to the page. So now we're sharing screen. Can everybody see that? If you can't, let me know in the comments, right? So basically, we have a table of contents. Let's look at the table of contents first. It says the CISA FBI alerts Iranian election interference, Iranian advanced persistent threat, actor identified obtaining voter registration data, which is those Dominion software things weren't supposed to be hooked up to the internet. So as we can see, there is another FBI alert of the Iranian election interference and Iranian advanced persistent treat actors threaten election-related results. Department of Homeland Security designation of election systems as critical infrastructure, APT actors chaining vulnerabilities against the SLTT, critical infrastructure election organizations. Treasury statement on fraudulent election interference by Maduro regime, which is also terrible. Report of Selected Committee on Intelligence, United States Senate on Russian active measure campaigns and interference in the 2016 election, Volume 3, U.S. Government Response to Russian Activities. Allied Security Operations Group, Atrium, Michigan Forensic Report, Redacted Affidavit of Declaration 1, Redacted Affidavit of Declaration 2, Venezuela Statement, Executive Order on imposing certain sanctions in events of foreign interference in a United States election, September 12th, 2018. This, number 10, is one of the biggest portions of this forensic read. Okay? So I hope everybody can see it, truly. I hope everybody can see what we're looking at. This is a 270-page document, right? And then there's the immaculate deception of Peter Navarro. Swiss and Aussie find critical flaw in the CETI software that the U.S. ignores. This is all the stuff. And so you can see, I'm not going to go fully into this, but you can see National Cyber Awareness System alerts. This is the U.S. government showing you cybersecurity and infrastructure. This is a U.S. government audit or forensic evaluation, right? Computer forensics, all that. So I mean, we can keep going. This is table. This is one of nine. This is literally still the table of contents. I hope you guys are understanding that. Agents that were observed. I mean, this is truly incredible. There's so much here. What I will do is I will put a link to this in the description for everybody. We're not going to go fully into it, but I just wanted to show you that that document truly is what it says it is. So if you want to read this document, like I have, I'm going to put that into the comments. Oh, Julie, thank you so much. Thank you so much for stopping by, Julie. That is awesome. I'm glad you finally made it live. Julie, this is going to be a tough one. This is going to be one that people may not like me for after we finish, but it's okay. So, I mean, what is her? Tell me in the comments. What do you think about this? What do you think about this document? I know a lot of you haven't had time to read it, but some of the things I said are brought together by our own government in the cybersecurity section of where we do our investigations and forensics. This is not just whatever evidence. This is hardcore evidence, and that specific executive order that they talk about, that is the if they find anybody that is, you know, in if there's a foreign person interfering in our election, whoever that goes for will be eliminated. It will be done. So tying that back to the left is what they've already done. So, but I feel here that is one path to Donald Trump still winning the presidency. There are many other ways. We're going to go into those too, because I feel that it all needs to be warranted. Because here's the facts, right? This is a fact, not a truth. No matter what side of the aisle you sit on, you have to be prepared. You have to know what may happen and what to do within those time periods where things are going to be in limbo, because you're not going to know who to look to or who to believe anymore, which is becoming an issue. It's becoming a pattern, and truly I think it's disgusting. But so with that being said, oh, that's awesome, Julie says, oh, I'm with you. Nothing surprises me anymore. But you know what, we're all in the same boat on that one. I know I've been coming in a little harsh tonight, been coming in a little crazy, but you know what? I think that this, I feel like this stuff it really needs to be told, because if it's not told by somebody, then, it's not told by anybody. And that's the problem. That's truly the problem. Everybody wants to just put this stuff under the rug, and then nobody wants to talk about it. This is important information. I truly feel that, let's make an assumption, right? So let's say somebody's telling you a story, right? And they don't lie to you, but they omit the truth. Do you feel like you've gotten the whole story, or would you not at least be mad at them for doing that? Right? Well, this is what the media is doing right now. Most of mainstream media is doing that exact thing. They are literally not lying to you, but they're picking certain areas to talk about and not touch on others. Why is that? I'll tell you why that is. Because by omitting those truths, they can control the narrative, you know? So, it's truly baffling that, we're going to talk about something else in a couple moments that's going to blow your mind too. So it's truly baffling that, people aren't, how do I say it? They're not more inclined to, you got to see the picture that it is that I'm sharing. It looks like I'm literally blowing into the microphone. That's horrible. But so, one of the things that I find funny is that under this particular show tonight, you know what you're probably going to see? You're going to see a disclaimer or a fact checker. But here's the funny thing, right? They hire these fact checkers to pretty much do their bidding and create their narratives. But the funny thing is that when people on the right see these fact checkers, they're more inclined to click the button of what the actual article is or the show or the statement because they've become so accustomed to literally not trusting the mainstream media so much that when they fact check something, everybody else just goes, "Oh boy, well I got to check this out now because it's probably true," right? So they literally had an adverse effect to what they were trying to do with that fact check. I find that ironic, funny, and they did it to themselves. Like they truly did it to themselves. I think it's the greatest thing in the world. I truly do. That they tried to censor people so bad that people have become accustomed to their markers. And when their markers are implemented, that leads other people to go and click on those things or touch, or to at least give it a shot and read it, you know? I think that it's hilarious, but it is what it is. We're all different people, so we all have our own different, our own different views on things. I just think that mine's a little skewed and a little crazy sometimes. But so I'm just sharing this out to a few more groups. And, one other thing I wanted to talk on tonight is the cancel culture, right? So for months, people were out in the streets. They were, let's say, they were tearing down statues of racists, of bigots, of people who owned slaves and people who they thought were racists. So the funny thing to me is that if we're playing by those rules now, right? If the cancel culture is the rules that we're playing by, how come people seen with known members of the KKK, aka Robert Byrd, gave eulogies at his funeral, are not getting canceled as well? They just canceled some YouTube girl for saying the N word in a song. Granted, it was wrong. It was wrong. She should have never said it. But the guy I'm talking about has said this word amongst other racial epithets that were almost insinuating even worse things. But yet he hasn't been canceled yet, right? He's like championing that side of the aisle. So by their own standards, this man should have been canceled already. But I guess, excuse me, I guess the cancel culture only works when it's somebody that they don't like. But to hold it equally to or applicable to everybody and all people, well, that doesn't work because their policies and their cancel culture is all based on emotion. It's based on their truths, which aren't actually truths. But so I think it's kind of funny that Joe Biden hasn't been canceled yet because he said a lot. Things said things a lot worse. And if we're following those rules, it would only make sense that we follow them to the fullest, right? I mean, if you disagree with me, tell me in the comments. I think that that's the way it should be, and that's the way we should actually be doing things nowadays. But like I said, to each his own. I can't tell people how to live or how to act. I just only hope that when you come to this specific show, you see something that you like and you find the truth that works for you. Take away what you want. You could take away what you don't want. So it is what it is. I just want I really want to touch base and really do things that are good for people to get this information out, to get this knowledge. I truly think that it's beneficial for everybody. And one thing I didn't do this evening was I didn't share this show in all the paranormal groups because those groups aren't for this particular show. This is a political show. I'm speaking about a lot of things that people probably wouldn't appreciate. And that's okay. That's okay. Not every show is for everybody, but we have to make sure that we give everybody their due process and their justice when we speak, you know? So, on to the next thing. So, we're going to keep sticking on the election real quick, and Pennsylvania, the Department of State's claims that 6.9 million people voted, that they counted, but the computer says only 6.7 million people voted. So there's a discrepancy of 200,000 votes. An analysis by a Pennsylvania lawmakers concludes that there were over 200,000 more votes casted than voters in the 2020 election. And here is how we look at this one. Once we get through with it, listen all the way to the end, because once I get through with it, there's going to be a disclaimer, because I am not stating that this is actual fact. This is an interpretation, and I'm going to let you know that up front. This is something that is basically they found a discrepancy. It could very well just be a mistake. We don't know, a valid mistake, but it's it's a little bit different. So, you know, I'm gonna let me get into it. We'll talk about it. Philip, I can't share in Black Hat podcast because I am not a part of that group. But you're more than welcome to go to my profile page or Daryl's profile page and share it from there. Please do. If you could share this out like this, and let's get this around to everybody. But please don't share it to places that are paranormal or that may not like this type of show. I do these shows for the people that want to listen, not for everybody. That's why I put a disclaimer out in the beginning of this show. So, a group of Pennsylvania lawmakers has issued a press release stating that because of a massive and troubling discrepancy in Pennsylvania's presidential election vote tally, the certification of that state's presidential electors was absolutely premature, unconfirmed, and in error. The state lawmakers, primarily Republicans, so we're going to tell you like it is, primarily Republicans, said that their analysis was based on a comparison of official county election results to the total number of votes of who voted in the November 3rd, 2020 election in Pennsylvania. So, awesome. Thank you, Philip. I appreciate that. So, basically, what they're saying is that when they counted the votes, right, we're going to get into some detail, but the state has counted the total amount of votes. So it was let's do it in rounder numbers. 6.9 million people had sent in votes that were counted, right? But eligible voters for the state, as per their department, the State Department Shore system, which is their computer record system, indicated that only 6.7 million people totaled actually voted. So there's 200,000 extra votes that can't be accounted for. When they looked into some of these votes, these people didn't have any relatives in the state, which is, fine, but they had no background, some of which they couldn't find social security numbers for, some of which had no place of residence, or place of residence was a state building, which is a government property, which means nobody lives there. Okay? So there is about 201,000 votes that they can't put those actual counted votes to voters in the state that itself, whether it be through the voter rolls, whether it be through confirming them through certifications of signature or the address or anything like that. So we see that there are, a huge amount of discrepancies. But here's the thing, right? We talk about Occam's razor, and people have said that Occam's razor, when I say it, is to keep it simple, stupid. The most likely perception of what the answer is probably it. When somebody told me that I was wrong, it was my friend Eric said I was wrong about that. But when you look at it, it's after all the facts are in. Yes, it can be complex, but only complex in the way that you actually, you have to have all the information. Finding the information can be complex, but once you have all that information and you can look at it with, intelligently, the most likely answer that information points to is the answer. That's just what it. That's what that means. Occam's razor. So, and if I don't use it right, that's how I'm using it. So we're all going to deal with that because I'm going to use it anyway. I like it. I'm a Tuesday Night Titan. This is what we do. I'm unabashedly unapologetic. So basically, they looked into a lot of this. So, you know, the state figures show 6.9 million people total ballots were reported as being cast, while the department system records indicated that only 6.7 total voters actually voted. The lawmaker's statement said. Now, here's what it is. Can it be human error? Could they miscalculate? Yes, it very well could be. I am not stating that this is in any way complete fraud because we don't know all the facts yet. But wouldn't you say that this warrants maybe looking into or maybe investigating or maybe putting an audit in to see instead of having it come out? Oh, I don't know. They probably had this information for 2 weeks already or since they stopped counting, right? But they just bring it out now because they feel like, I think to me personally, it feels like they're just bringing it out now to get all the cards on the table because they feel like they've won already. They feel like they pulled the wool over your eyes. But I'm here to tell you that they haven't, and that they won't, because there is something coming. And and as people know, if you know who I am, I say it all the time. I have people that I can outsource information to that are military intelligence, that are politicians, that are Secret Service. They know people, or at least know people who know people, to get the information that I need. So I'm telling you now that there is something very big in the works. I can't go into detail what it is. I honestly don't have all the details yet. All I was told is that January 6th, there will be um, a meeting of patriots in Washington, D.C. There will also probably be Antifa on the roads, but this is going to be the biggest meeting of patriots that you've ever seen. Okay? There is going to be more people there in D.C. around the White House than ever in any protest, ever in any, uh, how they've been going down there where they've, done walkarounds and all that, any meeting or any, stop the steal type of thing. This is going to be the biggest one yet. Okay. I can say that with a guarantee. There has been a call. A call has been sent out for people to go down there. If I would advise people that if you're not ready to totally encompass what that means to go down there, make sure you look into it first. I personally won't be down there. I would like to be down there, but I can't be. There's things that I do have to do. I have shows that I have to run, and I can't, you know, get away on my responsibility. But there is a lot going on here. So let's keep thinking, right? So there's a lot of these discrepancies. So as we keep going, this is a big one. This one can turn the state. They also have found stuff in Georgia that could possibly turn the state too if enacted. Michigan's about to flip. Wisconsin's going through an audit. And I find it funny that a lot of the people in Georgia are on, they're on the payroll of somebody. A lot of them have affiliation to the Chinese. We're going to get into the Chinese too, because the Chinese are America's biggest enemy. Although the media would tell you it's Russia, while Russia is a threat, they are not the biggest threat. And even the United Nations has confirmed that by 2028, China will have the leading economy if everything stays the way it is. When you have the leading economy in the world, you become the greatest superpower in the world, which means you get to dictate a lot of litigation all over the world like we do. It's a bad situation. It's a bad situation. So what we have to do is we have to bring that all back. and we have to win the Senate and keep things at least even. So now let's get into some of the facts, because this is numbers now, of the discrepancies. Whether, like I said, it's error or not, it remains to be seen. Of the 6.9 million, 600 6 6 6,962,607 total ballots casted, 6,931,060 total votes were counted in the presidential in the race between the President Trump and Democratic presidential hopeful Joe Biden, as well as the third party write in candidates. So, with that being said, the lawmaker's statement said the difference of 202,377 more votes cast than voters, in addition to the 31,547 over and under votes in the presidential race, tallies a discrepancy of 170,830 total votes. This tally is more than twice the statewide difference between President Trump and Joe Biden. It's pretty wild, right? Pretty wild. So we have people out there who are tweeting and all this. Twitter has banned me because I speak too much truth. We will be back on Twitter soon. That is something I can tell you. We will also be putting together a website where you'll be able to read news articles about whether you're left, right, center, paranormal, ufology. We're also going to be having archives of shows. It is in the works as we speak. When we have a due date for it to be dropped, I will let you know, and I will ask you to please visit and subscribe to our newsletters, or at least our newspaper side of it, so we can. Also, we're going to be having merch up there. We're going to have merchandise, which means that if you are a part of our collective or you are subscribed to the newspaper, you will get discounts on the merch. You will get promo codes. You will get 10% off, 20% off, whatever the deals are at that time. It is indicative and imperative that you sign up for the website if you would like to get some merch. We're going to have really cool merch coming out. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I've got some shirts in the works that I'm working on that are going to be incredible. Some hats, maybe some sweatpants. I am an avid sweatpants guy. I love sweatpants. So yeah. So this is a discrepancy yet again. I can't believe we're already an hour in. Wow. So let's take a breath before we keep going any further. We've got a few more articles. I've said a lot of stuff so far. I've dropped a lot of information. I know this stuff can be confusing, right? And when you hear me say it, it's like, well, he's the right. He's leaning to the right. He loves Donald Trump. Well, you may not be right, but you're not wrong. Okay? And I'm going to tell you what that means. What that means is that if there was a man on the side of the Democrats or a left leaning man who was doing a lot for the people, or at least kept his promises and wasn't a typical politician, but ran under the Democratic flag, I would vote for him. I'm honest about that. I judge the content of character, not the political affiliation. Okay? Which is why I voted the way I did. I'm not going to tell you the way I voted. It doesn't make a difference. You probably know already anyway. But I'm not going to admit to it on camera. It doesn't need to be said. But what I do is I base my opinion off research, not because I'm offended by somebody's tweets at 2 a.m., because he hurts your feelings. Oh, I hate this man. He hurt my feelings. Who cares? Your feelings don't matter. Politics is not about feelings. It's not about truths. It's about facts, right? And the reason that everybody should be involved in the political spectrum at some interval is because this is how a modern society works to move forward. If you don't like what the politicians are doing, you jump in and put your 2 cents in. Why is that? So you can be the difference. You're the leader that you've been waiting for. Okay? That's the truth. There's nobody else. that's going to come and scoop you up and tell you, okay, come on, I'm your new leader. Let's go. I don't even want to be that guy. You are the leader you've been waiting for. So if there's a 1,000-mile walk ahead of us, you got to take the first step. Got to take the first step. First step is doing your research, knowing your facts, not your truths, your facts. Because when the facts come into play, you can see how many people have benefited over the last 4 years. And some of you are going to say, well, some didn't. Well, you're not looking hard enough because everybody benefited. As a nation, we have benefited. There's so many ways that I can tell you, right? Let's start. They did a poll. And of course, we know polls are crap, but this isn't a poll on the presidential election. This is simply a poll on do you feel that you're better off now than where you were 10 years ago? 63% of people said yes. They asked them why. 30% of them said money, which means that they're making more money. They were afforded more opportunities. So then they asked them again, do you see yourself in a better situation now than 4 years ago, 5 years ago? They said yes. It was a resounding 56% of the people that they polled said that. 56% of the nation. I mean, that's majority. That's a majority. If you look at those polls to be accurate, right? And I understand that there are people who have had injustices against the color of their skin for a very long time. While I really hope that equality is something that is maintained and there's a decorum within that, the people that you're looking to establish that equality aren't in it for you. I'm just not. Facts dictate that. Facts dictate that they want to use you as a pawn, just like they want to use me as a pawn, just like they want to use all of the American people, regardless of skin color or tone, as pawns. They don't want to work for the benefit of the constituency. What they want is they want money. They want power. Whatever they can do to progress their political agenda and ideology of what they feel is their truth, not facts, is what they do. And I hope I don't offend anybody, and I'm not trying to, because I love everybody. While some people will say, oh, the right's racist. I'm not in the right. I am not a part of the right or the left. I'm a part of the Patriot Party. We are not right. We are not left. We just are. Okay? So I look at things through the glass is half full type of thing. Right? I'm an optimist. I don't like negativity. I don't tend to stay around negativity. So, with all that being said, I can see the negativity being brought out on both sides of the aisle. That's why I don't classify myself as a Republican or a Democrat. There are a ton of useful idiots in the Senate and the House of and Congress that are Republican. Useful idiots. Then the same goes for the Democrats. Useful idiots. I swear, it's like they take the dumbest people and they say, hey, you want to be a senator? Hey, you want to be a representative? I mean, what happened to the days of the George Washingtons and the Thomas Jeffersons, the innovators who tried to lead a country by example, not just and actually practice what they preach? Both sides of the aisle don't do that anymore. There's nobody to follow. Nobody. There's not one right or one wrong. They're both equally right and equally wrong. That's the problem. There's no righteousness. There's nobody looking up for the people, by the people, for the people, and only the people. And I always say this a lot. Thomas Jefferson said this, right? He says that when the people fear the government, that's tyranny. That's right now. When the government fears the people, that's democracy. That's what we need. We need leaders. But that goes back to what I said before. You're the leader you're waiting for. You are. And I believe in you. If nobody else does, I do. I feel that we can all benefit from finding like minded people and coming together and having factual discussions, not based on emotions or how you feel about something. It's irrelevant. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. If I told you that I don't feel so happy right now, do you really care? Do you know? If you know me, you might. But do you think that, that somebody that you'd never met before, do you think that they care that you're not happy? Of course not. Of course not. But this goes back to like what I'm saying. That's why we need politicians, but we need the right types of politicians, transparent politicians. There's a question in the comments by Philip Kevin Williams. He says, "Do you think Trump is handling COVID situation correctly?" No, no, I don't, and I'm going to explain. His process of getting it out to people is incredible. It's incredible. But I don't believe that the vaccine is an answer. I don't believe that the vaccine is fully tested to make sure that people aren't going to get extremely sick or aren't going to get damaged internally from it. It's crazy because, and I don't usually say things about my normal life. And my mom is watching, and I hope she doesn't get mad, but I talked to her today. I called her, and she says, I said, "Hey, mom, what's going on?" She said, "Nothing." I said, "Oh, did you hear about all this crazy stuff going on?" She says, "Yeah, we talk about politics sometimes. I like to let her know information about what I know because they don't dive in like I do." And somehow the vaccine came up. And I asked her, I said, you're not getting the vaccine, right?" And she says, "Well, yeah, I was going to get the vaccine." And I got livid with her. And I'm sorry, Ma, I love you. I don't want you to think I got mad at you. I just worry for you. Okay? If people don't understand what this vaccine is, and when I mean I almost jumped through that phone, I texted my godmother, who's down there with my mother right now. They're all in Texas. And I said, "Can you believe that she said that? Like, did you hear me yell at her? Like, that's crazy." I got mad. I got mad because her doctor pushed it on her and said, "You need to take this or you're going to die. You might die." And she repeated that to me. And my heart skipped a beat. I jumped. I jumped. I said, "No way. No way." So I said a few things and I said, I hopefully convinced her not to go get it. She told me that she promised she wouldn't get it. But if you don't realize what this is an untested delivery system. A vaccine is a way that the body makes antibodies, right? Antibodies are great. That's not this. Just because you hear vaccine doesn't make it the same thing. This is what's called an mRNA vaccine, which means that it reprograms the writing. The every Your body is like a computer. When you write code on a computer, the program does something specific, right? So what this was is it's literally rewriting your cells, and when it rewrites your cells, the cells now create a protein, and that protein is now flowing through your body. But it never went through animal testing, which is incredible to me. It's incredible that they let it go that far. And I have insider information, and I can tell you that there's many people that'll agree to this that the COVID has it's got a patent number. Do you know what? If you know what that means, then I don't have to tell you. You know, and then the more that I think about telling, that my mom's doctor told her this, and I'm sure she loves her doctor. I'm about to tell her to stop. Don't ever go to that guy again because he's just another a big pharma pusher, like all the rest of them. What's going on, Ernie? I see you. I hope you enjoyed the show, Ernie. It's going to be a political one, so get ready for the fire, brother. It's not like a paranormal Saturday night show. This is a rant waiting to happen. And I know we're not going to get to all the stuff that I have planned for today, but truly, I was I was upset. I was upset, and my mom said that because this COVID vaccination, right? The COVID 19 patent is patented by a subsidiary company of Bill Gates. We know that's a fact. Follow the money. But also, Moderna is affiliated with a company that's owned by Bill Gates. So, vis a vis, that company is associated with Bill Gates. Bill Gates sits on the board of that company pretty much. So, not only does he have a patent on the virus, he's got a patent on the cure. You don't find that suspicious? Because I sure as shit do. I sure as shit do. I think it's wild. I think it's wild. And the reason why I don't think Trump handled it properly is because I don't believe there should be a vaccine for this out there. The death rate is not great enough to constitute it. Survival rate is 99.96. You're going to tell me that I got to put something in my arm that's going to rearrange my cells from doing their natural job? Not to mention that some of the people in England who took this vaccine right off the rip, they said that they felt their connection to God was cut off. If you know me, I love my creator. I would never have that. I would never have my connection cut off to God, nor would I ever take a chance on anything that might do that. It's just not me, right? Now, on the insert to the vaccine that most people don't see, it says it may cause, what is it? Tuberculosis, I believe it was, or meningitis was one. It may cause, probably could cause TB. It could cause autism. And the other thing that's crazy about the vaccine that I heard was that if you have taken the vaccine, because it rewrites the cells, you are not allowed to have sexual intercourse for 28 days because the child that is produced from this time period of your cells being rearranged properly could cause it to have severe birth defects. Does that sound safe? Does that sound right to anybody? That's a joke. Philip says, I know people that sent in the test without even swabbing and came back positive. Listen, they have tested a papaya, a kiwi, Coca-Cola, a goat, and they all came back positive. Elon Musk took 4 different tests while sitting in the same office over the course of 3 hours. 2 were positive and 2 were negative. 50-50 shot. It's kind of crazy, right? Kind of crazy. And the other funny thing is that if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? That's how I see it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. They have ways to counteract this virus, right? They have ways to counteract this. So let's say this, right? Which is another theory that I heard about this particular vaccine is that this vaccine gives you an autoimmune deficiency. So the next time a bioweapon comes around like this one, it will kill you, and it'll kill 30% of the people on this planet because the first COVID vaccine made them susceptible. A nurse gets Bell's palsy after taking a vaccine. Paralyzed face, Nashville, Tennessee. Absolutely right. And what's going on in Nashville on Christmas Day? Does anybody see any of these videos? What terrorist group have you ever seen literally puts out a statement through a loudspeaker while the frickin' thing's about to explode? Please get away. It's going to explode. Not to mention, if you look at infrared tapings of that area, it looks like a missile's coming down. Not to mention that this particular area has ties to the Chinese and the solar tech stuff. You know, like that has to do with the election. It blew up that area. Like this is if you can't connect the dots, that means you're not looking. That's the truth. If you're not connecting these dots, you know what you're doing? You're walking around like this, just not looking at it. I w- Ignorance is bliss. I get it. Sometimes I wish I didn't know this stuff. Sometimes I wish I didn't look all this stuff up and my day wasn't enveloped with reading articles telling you what's going on and what else, this, that, and everything else. Sometimes it's tough, man. When you stare into the abyss too long, you tend to it rubs off on you. Well, I do my due diligence and I have happy time every day, where I watch TV to get away from it a little bit. I watch a little Star Trek, a little Star Wars, I get away, but it's sad, man. It's sad where we've come to. And, somebody that I personally love listening to is Dan Bongino. He's another straight shooter, doesn't care what you think, and doesn't care about your feelings. If somebody's giving me information, I would hope that they wouldn't care about my feelings. I hope they wouldn't say things or they wouldn't say certain things because they were afraid it was going to offend me. I want to know. I want to know what it is. Like, don't hold back. The unadulterated truth is the best truth, right? Or the best facts, you know. But I mean, there's so much we could go into, right? So we went over a little bit of Pennsylvania. They're having issues with the analysis and the forensic. Like I said, that doesn't mean that this is verified to definitely be fraud. Could be an error. It could be. I could tell you, yeah, it could be. It might be an error. I get it. That's why I say those things because I'm not going to lead you astray and say, oh, this is fact. This is fact. It's not. It hasn't been verified completely yet that it was definitely either Dominion systems or fraud. But to me, it looks like it. I've seen a lot of this fraud and I've studied a lot of it. It looks to be along the same lines. So had to calm myself down a little bit. I'm actually going to refresh my coffee. Hang on a second. I don't want you to have to hear it. I need more hot fluids, otherwise my voice will get hoarse. Hang on. Told you. Nothing but the truth, right? So I was going to talk a little bit about basically there. Well, we were just talking about COVID, but there was a new study, right? And it says what? The name of the article is what? A new study of 10 million Chinese finds asymptomatic COVID spread never existed. Basically, if you're asymptomatic, you can't spread it. But let's get into the details. I'm not going to leave you without detail. Without details, we gotta go into what this means because it's important, man. All this stuff is very important. It's important. So as we get into it, let's see. Let me get my. I'm sorry, I got to get my article back up. So, a new study of the asymptomatic transmission of COVID not only proves it doesn't happen, it proves the panic promoted by the political class was meant to control the populations. And the crazy thing is that today, Anthony Fauci was, let's just say, not up in arms, but essentially his ties to the new Biden administration, or supposed Biden administration, is now getting a little bit looser, a little bit less together because of this specific study. So let's get into this, right? In a complete contradiction to the popular narrative used by the Democrat politicians and governors across the United States, a new study of 10 million people in Wuhan, China, ground zero for the COVID virus, showed that asymptomatic spread of COVID does not occur, nullifying all reasoning for business closures and lockdowns. Imagine that. Imagine that. That's a that's crazy. The study published in November issued of a peer-reviewed scientific journal, Natural Communications, studied 9.8 million residents of Wuhan, screening them between May 14th and June 1st of 2020. The results provided clear evidence as to the possibility of any asymptomatic transmission of the virus. This is what I was telling you about before. Truly. This is crazy. It's all control. It's all control. So now let me ask you this question, right? Let's raise a question with a question. We know that this study is factually correct because of the numbers, right? So why do you need a vaccine if asymptomatic people don't spread it? That means that all the cases that they have, or that their cases are going up and up and up and up and up and up. Half of them are asymptomatic. It means they can't give it to nobody. That also means that they already had it. It's crazy. This is crazy that you would think that now that this study, and then they're still pushing a vaccine after, and the funny thing is they're saying hospitalizations are up. No, they're not. No, they're not. And every time they occur more cases, the death rate goes down. So the more and more positive tests they find, the less deaths that occur, the bigger difference between cases to deaths, the lower the death rate. Right now, the mortality rate is 99.96%. And people are literally going broke for that 0.04%. I mean, doesn't make sense to me. I'm baffled by it all. So let's get more into this article because it's pretty cool. Pretty cool, right? So, out of the nearly 10 million people in the study, results revealed 300 asymptomatic cases were found. Utilizing contact tracing of those three, not a single case of COVID-19 were detected in any of them. They've literally contact traced them since they were quoted asymptomatically tested. And anybody and everybody around them, nobody got sick or got COVID. So what does that mean? What does that mean? A total of 1,174 close contact of the asymptomatic positive cases were traced. They all tested negative for COVID-19, the study concluded. Both the asymptomatic patients and their contacts were placed in isolation for a period of no less than 2 weeks, and the results remain the same. None of the detected positive cases of their close contact became symptomatic or newly confirmed with COVID-19 during the isolation period, the study found. Kind of changes how you think about it, right? Kind of makes it different. It makes a difference. It definitely makes a difference. It's criminal. That's right, Julie. It's criminal what they're doing. But yet they're gonna tell you can't leave the house. There are people. Listen, I get it. There are people who are vulnerable, and I get that. They should be quarantined. If you're at a potentially high risk to get it, you should be quarantined. But healthy people shouldn't be. That's the way a quarantine works. Quarantine doesn't mean to lock up the healthy people. It means to separate the sick people. Now, a lockdown is a prison term where they shut down the entire facility. So not only healthy and sick, it applies with this, like healthy and sick people are all locked in, can't leave your house, or if it was prison, your cell. That's how that works. That's why they call it a lockdown. So we're not quarantining because quarantining means something different, right? It means separate the sick, let the healthy do what they got to do. Lockdown means everybody goes inside. So it's criminal. That's criminal. You know, they're treating us all like prisoners in an entire country. Doesn't make sense. I didn't do the crime. I didn't do the. Why do I have to do the time? You know what I mean? Nobody else committed any crimes. Why do the entire audience is doing the time? All of them. Everybody in this country is doing time. Only 0.4% committed the crime. Think about that. Think about that. You know, and I'm almost sure that under this video they're going to do, like I said, the fact check. And you're right. V for Vendetta is about to come true. But this is scary, man. Like this is if this doesn't scare you where we're at right now, then you got to set like this because even some days I get nervous, and I like to think of my set like this. But who knows, right? So, further examination of the study subjects revealed that virus cultures in the positive and repositive asymptomatic cases were all negative, indicating no viable virus in positive cases detected in the study. So, the age range of those found to be asymptomatic was between 10 and 89 years of age. The asymptomatic positive rate was lowest in children or adolescent aged 17 and below, right? And the highest rate was found among people older than 60. So now we know, which we've known all along. The elderly are more susceptible to contracting this particular virus. But still, I would not tell you to go and get the vaccine, young, old, at all, right? So the study also concluded with a high confidence that due to a weakening of the virus itself, newly infected persons were more likely to be asymptomatic with a lower viral load than earlier infected cases. Just like they say in science, a virus eventually will, as it's replicated so many times, it will dumb itself down, right? It will dilute itself. It won't be as bad. So, you know, I keep having this feeling while reading this, right? That people are gonna look at me like I'm an anti-vaxxer or I'm some I am unapologetic when I say these things, and I hope people don't feel that I'm trying to dispute what you feel or what you think. You're entitled to your own opinion. I'm just giving mine out to find like-minded people because those are the types of people that I want to be around, that I want to stick with. Because those like-minded people, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna progress. We're gonna keep going forward. And those people who want to stay inside and let people dictate and tell them what they should do every day and all day, that's what you're gonna get. And it goes back to the saying I said, which is kind of the trend throughout the whole transmission today. Be the leader that you're looking for. That's you. So I'm going to lead by example. Okay, I'm going to put myself out there a little bit, and I have things to lose too, but this is what I feel like I have to say these things because truly it's I think that it's something that needs to be said. That's what I think, and I hope everybody feels somewhat somewhat the same way. I really do. I just I just feel that this is who I am, and I want to make sure that I do what I say I'm going to do and bring you actual factual information. I think it's important. I really think it's important, tremendously important. I don't want people to think that 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 the only truth out there is what you're being told. I want you to do your own research. So I'm talking in extremes, and there's a reason for that because, like I said, I'm not left or right, but I do know what the facts are because I study this. So me studying this is it's me basically giving you what I have at hand to tell you what I think is really going on. Some people might like it, some people might not like it. And I apologize if we don't. I'm not trying to offend anybody at all, you know? But I feel like if I don't tell you the truth, nobody will. Or at least nobody that you're looking to on TV. At least nobody that you're looking to on the radio. You gotta go underground for that stuff. And I know I think it's kind of a shame. I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame that America lost its backbone to fight this. This tyranny is not just tyranny. It's it's worse. It's worse than tyranny, right? And it's funny because people like AOC wants socialism. Bernie Sanders wants socialism. Do you know what Bernie Sanders said recently? Do you know what he's talking what he's been doing? Like Bernie Sanders is ridiculous. Bernie Sanders couldn't be farther from the truth. Couldn't be farther from the truth. He is just he's ridiculous. I'm going to pull it up right now what Bernie Sanders says. Bernie, voter fraud investigations are poison. It's a pill that will keep the Dems from offering $2,000 direct stimulus report. Is that a threat, Bernie Sanders? Is that a threat, you socialist piece of garbage? You're saying that this because we want to know the truth, or because we want to investigate something that looks a little fishy, that's going to be the poison that'll keep the Democrats from offering up $2,000 to the people who need it? And Mitch McConnell is the same shit. Pardon my language. The same thing. Why? What are you wasting your time? Mitch McConnell said, "I'll let that go through. I'll support the president. I'll support his demands for 2,000 for the votings. Section 230 is either repealed, revoked, or remanded, and investigation into the fraud." What gets me is that those are three separate bills. Three separate bills. The people need the money. Okay? So now that the people need the money, what are you doing? What are you doing? Instead of just enacting a bill that was straight money to the people, you gave us this $2.3 trillion garbage bill. Garbage bill. When I tell you what this bill has in it, it's the craziest thing you've ever seen. Craziest thing you've ever seen. I can't even begin to describe it, okay? I can't even begin to I had it pulled up before. I'm going to find this and I'm going to tell you exactly what's in this bill. Okay? Cuz you're going to be like, "What the hell is that? What is that? That can't be. Can't be. Can't be." So, my phone's ringing. It says scam likely. I would assume. I would assume it's a scam. But we'll try it back a little later, see what happens. So I'm going to find this article because I want to read to you what we're spending extra money on. Let me find this. Let's see. So when I tell you that this specific bill is disgusting. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Damn, I can't find it just yet. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna keep talking while I find it though, because this you have to know. You have to know this. This is important. Okay, the stuff that they put into this bill is pathetic. It's pathetic to the point where you're like, no way, it can't be right. It can't be right. Can't be. Well, listen, it is exactly what they say it is, and no more, no less. I had it pulled up. I wonder what happened to it. It must have changed, but that's okay. So, they put things in here they literally put billion. This is a $2.3 trillion bill, which will put us at $27 trillion in debt, right? So the thing that gets me is that how could you do that? How could you literally say, yeah, this is going to be good for the people? We're going to devalue the dollar so bad that your kids are never going to be able to pay their way out of anything at all. Okay? Because there it is. Foreign countries and spending. Here we go. Let's let's look at this garbage. This is a big bag of hot garbage. Okay? So let's see. 169 million to Vietnam, including 19 million to remediate dioxins. Page 1476. Unspecified funds for the nonprofit Gender Accessible Education Institution in Kabul, Afghanistan. What? Why? Do you realize in these countries they do horrible things to people who are, label themselves as different genders? They throw them off buildings. That's how they stone them to death. But we're going to sink money into trying to change their society at a root level. Makes no sense. Personally, I think it's disgusting what they do to those people. It's horrible. It's totally and utterly ridiculously horrible. Okay? So 198 million to Bangladesh, including 23.5 million to support Burmese refugees and an additional 23.3 million for democracy programs. What about our democracy, right? 130 million to Nepal for the development of democracy programs. 15 million for Pakistan democracy programs and an additional 10 million for gender programs. Define all that, please. 505 million to Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Panama to address the migration unaccompanied undocumented minors to the United States. That one I think should be a separate bill. I can get on board with that, right? 461 million to Colombia for programs related to counter narcotics and human rights. That's a good one. I'll take that one, but it's a different bill altogether. 74.8 million to the Caribbean Basin Security Initiative. If you don't know what that is, I suggest you take a look. It's corrupt to its core. 33 million for democracy programs in Venezuela. Let's think. Socialist country, Venezuela. Let's throw money at them to see if they become a democratic state. Really? Really? Come on, man. Come on, man. As my the famed Joe Biden says, you know the thing. You know the thing. Come on, man. Right? Oh, absurd, man. That's absurd. Very absurd. I think it's crazy. Shall we keep going? Unspecified funds to Colombia, Peru, Ecuador, Caraco, Trinidad, and Tobago to mitigate the impact of refugees from Venezuela. So we're paying other countries to take Venezuelan refugees. What about the people starving in this country? What about America? Like Pink says, what about us? Like, come on. Come on. Then we'll give 132 million for Georgia, not Georgia in the United States, Georgia the country. 453 million for assistance for the Ukraine, corrupt to the core. 500 million for Israel cooperative programs. That can be used as money that goes out to help other people. Why are we paying for other countries' issues? Is anyone else helping? I don't mean to sound cold or uncaring, but seriously, Julie, I concur. I think that when we have the available funds to help other countries, we should. We should. But right now, when half of this country, maybe even more, is out of work or starving or is about to get evicted from their apartment, the jobless claim in this country is still horrendous. But let's throw money at Venezuela for democracy programs. They don't even have a democracy. What programs are we going to instill that they're not going to shoot the people that try and instill these programs? They're a socialist country, and anybody who opposes the socialist regime that's in charge gets killed. So who's this money really going to? A lot of it if you think, and you may say, "Oh, he's crazy. This guy's absolutely off this rocker now." It's going to these generals through these defunct programs. It's going to the generals that run the area. They make money off that because it's being shipped in through these programs. Who do you think is going to be in those countries to instill those programs? Civilians, yes, but also military protecting those civilians. We're not going to send our civilians to another country without any sort of protection. So who is ultimately in charge of that money? The program? And who else is in charge of those people in the program? The general who's behind it. It's a way for them to launder money through the system. It's that easy. It's that easy. All right, guys, we're getting to that point. We got about 10 minutes left. So, you know, I want to know what you think of all this. Everything that I said tonight. You can say, I agree with you. I don't agree with you. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I understand. I understand some you may not feel the same way. You know, and I respect your opinion to not feel that way. But I'm going to tell you that if there's a reason why nobody called in tonight to dispute what I was saying. I'm not trying to sound conceited or high on myself. It's because when they look at the whole picture, to know that I'm speaking some semblance of truth. And anybody who knows me personally or has worked with me or has been on a show with me or has seen my show, I hope you realize the work that I put into create these shows and the research that I do per each show. Because I'm not going to come out here and talk out of my rear end like some would. They're just going to pontificate all this crazy stuff that makes sense to them in their head, but really has no factual base to it. I'm not that one. Anything I say to you is going to be vetted. And if it wasn't vetted, like tonight, there was a few comments that weren't vetted. I put a disclaimer on it. I told you. I might be wrong. And I'm open to listen. You always have to remain a student, right? So when I read these things, I learn more and more how the system really works. For the better, for the worse. Usually it's for the worse. But we need some trendsetters. We definitely need trendsetters out there. We need people to grab this system by the you know whats and take control, man. There's people like Philip in the UK, you know, supporting the people that are trying to regain their freedom over there. There's people in Canada who are trying to regain their freedom. It's not just here. This is a global, this is the real global pandemic. The globalist agenda is the real global pandemic because millions of people are either being put in camps, killed, or silenced for what they know and what they bring out. We know the culprits, but people are too scared to talk about it. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not. It doesn't matter to me. The truth is more important. I will die on that hill. That is where I stand. Unabashed, truthfully unapologetic. The Tuesday Night Titan is always here for the people, for the benefit of the people. And I don't hold back. I can't. It's not who I am. I don't have a filter. I never did. Never want one. Because I believe that it's important to be transparent and truthful to people. And at least be respectful. So some of the things I said tonight may not have felt respectful. I wasn't going after anybody. I wasn't commenting on anybody's race, gender, creed, color, or anything likewise. Party affiliation. I only spoke about the things that I found to be true. And even then, some of those aren't all facts. Some were facts, but some weren't. Some were just my truths. And I'm going to say my truths because I feel that it's important to put what you feel out there, because you could have those moments where something you say helps it click for somebody else. You're connecting those dots for people. And I truly believe it. That's why we're put on this earth, to connect those dots and to help others, to spread love. Nothing I said tonight was done out of hate. It was all said out of love. Love for fellow humans and love for humanity in itself. I'm not Republican or Democrat. I'm a humanitarian. Always have been and always will be. I respect you too, Philip, and I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. Having the respect of my peers means a lot. And we have so with all that being said, you know, let's get into we have another show coming up. It's going to be an amazing show. I hope everybody enjoyed this one tonight. You know, it meant a lot to me to come out here and speak my truth. I don't always do this. I know sometimes we talk about UFOs and paranormal, but this is the platform that I do this type of stuff on because I know that there's like-minded people who will listen. And I had some things to say tonight. You can ask Daryl when I came into the Zoom chat. I was like a ball of fire. He had to calm me down a little bit before I even got on the air because I was upset about some things, and I spoke my truth. So, with that being said, this is the Tuesday Night Titan signing off. Join us here every Tuesday night, the new time of 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And Saturday nights, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Monday nights from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. That's where me and my truly great friend and best friend, Real Rescue Media Melinda, we talk to some paranormal people. So up next we have the Triad Talk with the Sovereign Three. I wish them the best show. I have yet to see them come behind me, and I can't wait to see it. So this is the Tuesday Night Titan. They're Tuesday Night Titans as well. Tuesday night is built beautifully, and it's built aggressive. It's built strong, and we're all seeking the truth. And all the shows on Tuesday night are unapologetic, and we talk that talk and walk that walk. So everybody have a great night. To everybody who is watching, thank you.